Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wednesday show live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
It's more ghosty. It's a ghosty.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Do you think you'd ever be out with me on the night Liverpool win the
9,
title?
Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It's Wednesday, April the 30th. It is the midweek show. It is the Wednesday show. We are live and I am your host, Ian Croll. Joining me in the Royal Blue studio this afternoon to talk all things Everton, we've got Tony Scott. Tony, how are things? All good?
Yeah, looking forward to the Ipswich fixture on Saturday. Our second to last game ever at Goodison Park seems unimaginable now, come from what we were speaking about this at the start of the season. Now there's just 118 minutes left at Goodison. It's like, wow, all of a sudden it's going to hit you. And I think, speaking to most Blues over the last couple of days, and I've been saying they're probably going to enjoy this one as a match, probably more atmosphere and everything else, and get stuck into the match and wanting to win it more than the Southampton game, because I think that fixture will just take care of itself emotionally. I think that the game will be a non-entity.
Yeah.
But for this one, I think a lot of Blues, with the weather the way it is at the moment, are really looking forward to getting to Goodison on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I think I said something similar myself last week. I missed the City game, so really looking forward to getting back to Goodison for the Ipswich one. Hopefully we get a win. Just going to enjoy the day because we know how emotional the last game at Goodison is going to be against Southampton. So yeah. The weather as well. Hopefully we get the weather on Saturday.
And you know what? Obviously we share a city with the current Premier League champions. Been a tough week, hasn't it, to endure living in the city? But I think all Evertons are going to solely focus on Everton this week and look ahead to Goodison. Do you know what? With what's gone on at the start of the week at Liverpool, I just can't wait to get to Goodison now and celebrate the last two games at Goodison Park.
Yeah, being with fellow Blues as well helps, doesn't it?
It does indeed, doesn't it? It does indeed.
We've also got Connor O'Neill, risen from his deathbed. How are we, Connor? Feeling better?
I feel a lot better than what I have been, yeah. To confirm, I have been quite ill. But I did get out my deathbed and come in on Sunday and
That's
work.
got nothing to do with Liverpool winning the league.
No.
Genuine
Unfortunately,
sickness.
I was one of the actual people who actually asked to come off their deathbed to come and cover Liverpool winning the title on Sunday. So
nothing to do with the 6 pints on Sunday night and being out till 4 in the morning as well.
That was the week before.
That wasn't this Sunday.
No, that was the week before. It was just at 2 o'clock home time on Sunday, Monday morning, Sunday night. But no, yeah, a lot better than what I have been, and as you can probably testify, my voice is a lot better than what it was on Monday because I could barely speak.
You were squeaking.
Yeah.
Sounded like Sean Dyche.
Some people might be glad that my voice went. I couldn't speak, to be honest. So, there might be a positive there. But no, I'm a lot better than what I was at the early past week, put it this way.
Yeah, well, Leaf Fitness test and you passed it, and here we are. It's a trio rather than a double act at the Wednesday show.
I feel like I'm invading the double act that he's built up.
Well, you do the Wednesday show every now and again, so it's
not quite the double act that you used to built up, though, is it?
Fair enough. Okay, today's agenda, it's going to include a mixture of topics. Obviously, we'll go through the final word from Chelsea very briefly. We don't want to dwell too much on a defeat. We're also going to look at the impending departure of Everton's head of recruitment, Dan Purdy. That is according to Paddy Boyland at The Athletic. We're also going to discuss the future and ongoing contract saga of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think is it right to call it a contract saga? Is that a fair reflection?
Been long run, hasn't it? Because he got off for one last summer and hasn't signed it, so...
So we'll discuss that. We're also going to discuss the Richarlison debate. Basically, a lot of talk about this online, whether he should come back to Everton or not. I don't even know whether he's surplus to requirements at Tottenham, but we'll discuss that. And big game on Saturday, as mentioned, we'll also preview Everton's game at home to Ipswich, along with starting lineup predictions and score predictions. As always, give us a thumbs up, drop us a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Also, get your comments in. As mentioned, we are live, so comment and get your feedback in on the stream. Connor, just start with you. you know, we don't want to dwell too much on a Chelsea defeat. We went in depth, you know, reacting to this game on Monday's pod. Just, I guess, it finished off a really, really tough month for Everton, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and it was an afternoon, wasn't it, where you could probably say Everton got better the more the game went on. Obviously, they finished quite strongly. Sanchez makes a couple of good saves. But I think if we're being honest, the first half performance wasn't good enough, was it? They were second best. Had Jordan Pickford to thank for making a couple of good saves to keep the score up 1-0. Possibly could have had a penalty, for being honest, for the Sanchez challenge on Mikalenko.
Joe Thomas didn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides, to be honest. I can see why some people do think we should have had a penalty and some people don't. It's one of them. It's probably harsh if it's given. But if it is given, I don't think many people, there's a clamour for it to be overturned. So I can see both sides. But I just thought we were second best. But I mean, the big thing was that I think a lot of the flaws that we know this Everton team have got were clear for all to see, weren't they, on Saturday? And, you know, I don't know about you two lads, but watching at home, there's times where you want to put your foot through the telly when Everton go into the final third because it's so frustrating because what looks positive, like, you know, we're going to hit someone on the counter-attack or we're going to do something productive, very quickly just stops. There's a lack of pace going forward. We've got players who continue to pick the wrong option. And in Betto as a centre-forward, we've got someone who can't really hold the ball up, as we saw with the first goal. And quite, if I'm being honest, the most interesting thing I thought on Saturday's game came afterwards and what David Moyes said about Betto in his press conference and how better he should have done for the goal. Because there was a little bit of talk, I think, that it was a Pickford's fault for the pass to the centre-back. Should they split as far as they did to create the gap in which Jackson runs into. But David Moyes was no qualms, was there, on who he thought was at blame, and that was Betto. You know, he thinks the centre-forward's got to hold the ball up, got to relieve the pressure. He didn't do that and we paid the price. So I thought that was the most interesting thing to come from Saturday because this shows perhaps David Moyes isn't a big fan of Betto. I think some of us probably already knew that anyway. But to hear the manager speak so publicly about something like that and to make it clear where he thinks who was at fault for the goal, I thought was really interesting.
Well, going to someone else who also isn't a big fan of Betto, Tony.
Do you blame him for the goal?
Yeah, 100%. The ball goes to a professional footballer's feet. And I don't care in terms of lack of quality or not. He's been training at Finch Farm for the best part of 2 years, nearly every single day. If the ball gets fizzed into your feet, you expect the centre forward to hold the ball up. Not to just... It was poor. We know his qualities in front of goal. We know where... When he's got time on the ball, he kind of panics and he flaps round and obviously the ball's gone wayward. But when he hasn't got time to think, I think he's just a natural finisher. I think the goals, he hit that little bit of a purple patch, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago, where he was just, first instinct was just hit the ball in the back of the net and that was it. But when he's got time, there's been a lot of one-on-ones this season where he's just had too much time and the next minute he's hit it right to the goalkeeper in the Merseyside derby in Anfield when you got the opportunities to go 1-0 up. And obviously he missed a chance there as well. His finishing's poor. His know-how of the game is poor. He's just a poor footballer and he shouldn't be anywhere near the Premier League. And why? I know why on earth we signed him, because obviously we didn't have to pay money for him up front. It's quite public, that side of it. But in terms of quality, he's nowhere near. You'd struggle if he went into the Championship, but you'd struggle to score goals there, to be honest.
See, I only reason I asked that, sorry to put in, but I was watching my uncle on Saturday, and he was like adamant that it was Pickford. He said Pickford, like, that's a bad ball by Pickford, and you know, Betto doesn't cover himself in glory. Betto doesn't cover himself in glory, but you know, Pickford's put him under pressure, and I was having none of it. I think if you're a centre forward, you've got to hold the ball up in that situation.
One thing I hate about Premier League football at the moment is that when the goalkeeper gives it to the number 6 on his own 6-yard box or on the edge of the area with his back to play, that winds me up. I get that because you're having to turn on the ball. So I think that's a nightmare of a ball for any player to get. The ball gets fizzed into him and Betto's on the halfway line. All your job is from a centre forward is hold the ball up. They're asking for you to turn and run in behind. Hold that ball up. He doesn't do it.
Does that not make the defence and 2 holding midfielders a bit more culpable, though? If he's on the halfway line...
This is good arguments, isn't it? Because
there's other plenty of defenders and midfielders who could have stopped that.
Listen, that's secondary, isn't it? If Betto does the first job, fine. You don't have to worry about midfielders coming in and centre-backs coming in from wide positions. He holds the ball up, jobs are good, and even draw a foul, make yourself awkward. It's like...
It's Beto's fault, without 100%. A doubt. However, we know how he's not good at holding the ball up. We know he's not. I just think Pickford shouldn't have played that ball in the first place. Like I just don't think if you know your forward's not good at holding the ball up, don't play that ball into the feet.
He's going long. Beto's never going to win anything because he's not good enough. So which ball do you play?
Well, you'd either play it out to your defence or you go long high up.
So if it goes long, it's only got to come back straight back at you because Beto's not going to do anything up front. So what you're asking him to do, if try and play it to his feet at least to hold the ball up. If it goes long, you may as well just give it back.
I think it was a suicidal ball into feet when he's surrounded by 3 Chelsea players. However, he does have enough time to lay it off to the core or do something else. What I'm saying is, like, if you know if your forward's not good at holding the ball, why are you playing that ball into feet?
Well, what is he good at then?
You can look at holding it up. You look at it a different way. If Pickford plays that ball and he manages to lay it off to the core, and then it's a 1-2 and then he's through on goal, it's a fantastic pass from Pickford, isn't it? But obviously it doesn't work out like that. I think the reason Betto has had a bit of a purple patch over the past couple of weeks, months, is because we played to his strengths. That is not playing to his strengths.
I get that, but you can't play to them strengths all the time. So in order for Tarkowski, if he was playing Branthwaite, O'Brien, to get that ball, you play it down the channels. So obviously you can't do that route all the time because defenders are going to cut onto it. Defenders are just going to stand in Betto's wing going, you're not getting in behind me, I'll stand in front of you.
You're surprised how David Moyes reacted? Because he did pretty much called him out, didn't he?
And I like that because we've had managers in the past, Roberto Martinez brings to mind straight away, even Sean Dyche, you come out of a match and you're going, did he actually say that? Did I watch the same match as him? Sean Dyche said it on a regular basis and he's going, no, we play well, we created chances, our XG was great, and I was going, I've just been watching Sunday League football and I don't see what the man. So it's good that we've got an honest, brutal manager that's calling players out for what they are. Professional footballers should be able to hold the ball up. That's basics. You're not asking them to turn and run in behind Colwell and score a worldie. Just hold the ball up. Basics.
Does the midfield and defence not need to do better once we've lost the ball? Because we're clearly not set up to defend.
I don't think we reacted very well, did we? And obviously, I think we were a bit slow in terms of reacting. But I think the problem at that point is we were a bit ran ragged, weren't we, as well? They'd had a lot of the ball and they'd had a lot of chances. And I think we were a little bit all over the show. And really, maybe Pickford should have went long just to try and get us set up. We don't know. But I do agree with Toe. I think, the ball goes into number 9 like that. You've got to hope he holds the ball up. But I think we just hit the record there for the quickest fire debate we've ever had on the Roble podcast because we're only about 2 minutes in. We're already sparring each other.
I just think
he says we've got nothing to play for.
Born into the season.
Play to your players' strengths and playing the ball into Beto's feet on the halfway line is not his strengths, and you've seen that over the past couple of weeks where he's done well. Keep saying it's on the shoulder of the last defender. It's through balls, maybe in the 6-yard box, nipping a goal or whatever. But
I think the big thing though from all this, and this ties in not just with Saturday but in recent weeks, I think when Betto come in, he obviously has a bit of reforms in under David Moyes, and got a couple of goals. But I think what the last few weeks have done is David Moyes has seen with his own eyes, and he will know a lot of this himself. He's not a stupid man, is he? But he will have seen with his own eyes the areas of improvement that are needed, what's needed, and who's not good enough. And I think Saturday was another one where there was a few on that pitch who I think were a little bit in for a culture shock of what is. I mean, we probably won't touch him too much, but I thought Nathan Patterson didn't exactly send the right message. He said to David Moyes, if you're looking to make yourself first choice right back, I didn't think he covered himself in much glory. The wide men again didn't cover themselves in much glory. Thought Alcaraz done okay when he come on because he's got the ability to run forward with the ball, which not many other players have. Decore frustrated again. Betto we've touched on. So I think David Moyes is seeing firsthand where he does need to improve. The worrying thing is it feels like every week the list gets bigger and bigger and bigger of where we need to improve. Myself and Paul Wheelock were talking about it on Sunday in the office here, and there's probably, you could generally make an argument to put 7 new people in the team, couldn't you, for next season?
I think the good thing,
if we're being honest, I mean, I thought Tarkowski and Branthwaite and O'Brien done really well, centre back together. Okay, the goalie could maybe cover them, but I thought they looked quite good as a partnership. And if we're being honest, I hope that stays the partnership now to get into the season, and we get to see them building something up for next year. But we probably need a new right back. We need 2 new wingers. We need a new number 10. We need a new centre forward. Because we've all seen them in recent weeks, where there are big issues, and they are all areas in which there are big issues.
The good thing though is everyone seems to be getting a chance, don't they? People coming back from injury, even with Tarkowski getting injured, it's given Patterson a chance to get on the pitch. It's given a chance for O'Brien to move into his preferred position. Okay, we know Patterson didn't cover himself in glory, but at least he's getting a chance. I suggested on the pod on Monday, I think I probably used the wrong word, but these are kind of meaningless games. I get that there's no meaningless game, but it's not going to impact our season too much whether we win or lose. I don't want to finish 17th without a doubt. I want to pick up as many points as possible, but in a way, it's better to make your mistakes when there's nothing really too much riding on it. And Moyes can see now. We've said that Moyes can see who he may want to keep and who he doesn't want to keep. I
think Connor's right in terms of David Moyes is probably. I don't think he needs games, to be honest, in terms of knowing the low quality of this squad. He's seeing them at Finch Farm every single day. Yeah. He's seeing the capabilities of Nathan Patterson, Betto. I've been very critical over James Garner over the past couple of weeks as well. I think he's one of these midfielders that looks busy without being busy, if that kind of makes sense. Gets around the pitch and gets his foot in, but I'm going, you're a centre midfielder. This is your position where you played for Forest. And we want to see you create. We want to see you try and get on the goal scoring sheet. A couple of assists, and we've yet to see it. He gets round the pitch and gets his foot in the air, but you're looking for a little bit more of that because he's next to a number 6 and just a guy. So we kind of don't need that. We've got too many midfielders who are basically doing the same job.
It is difficult to impact the game from his position, though. I agree with you on everything that you've said, but what would you do then? Push him further forward? We've said, would he be better trying out on the right wing? Again, I've stated this, he's a better utility player, James Garner, than he is an actual probable holding midfielder. It's an argument to say he's a better right back.
Tony's just took the words out my mouth. He's probably the best right back Everton have got. I think as a right back, he'd be absolutely superb.
Doesn't want to play there.
He doesn't want to play there, but I think the games he's played there, people forget he played right back when England won the Euro Under-21 Championship. He played right back. Played right back towards the end of that season, didn't he? When the Bournemouth game, he was right back and outstanding. Yeah. I think James Garner is. I think he'd be one of them players who probably morph into going right back if he wants to. Unless he.
When was the last time he played right back? Are we talking Bournemouth?
Probably around that time. Yeah.
Well, there's one for you. He's been playing centre midfield for Everton the last 20 games or something since Mangala got injured. Does James Garner get in any of the top 10 teams in the Premier League playing centre midfield?
Probably not.
So why are we housing him then? We won again, that's top 10.
I can see the punch you make, so, but I think you got to judge James Garner when he's got better options in front of him.
I agree. I totally agree.
I think the way he wants to play, he's more of a kind of, and I hate this saying, but it's like the quarterback role, isn't it? Of you're the person who gets on the ball. Because for as good as Idrissa Gueye is, and we all love Idrissa Gueye, and he's the one person who I think unanimously the supporters want to see stay out of contract plays this summer. Passing is not his strong point, is it? Getting on the ball and passing is not his strong point. Garner has the ability to get on the ball. I think the problem is, he probably picks his head up. He's got 2 wingers who probably, unless it's Endai who plays out there, not great. He's got number 10 in Decore who can't play to his feet, and he's got a centre forward in either Betto who can't play to his feet.
So can't he go with himself? Can't he go, do you know what, I'm going to carry this ball forward?
Maybe so.
Like Onana did when he was with us.
Maybe so, but I just think you can only judge James Garner if Everton have better options going forward and he has better plays to work off from an attacking point of view.
I agree with you. I'm still looking to see a little bit more, because if he's getting on the ball in centre midfield and he's got just a guy and he knows that maybe Decore could fill in for him, go forward with the ball. I
do think there is times where he should be 10 yards further forward than what he is. Yeah. Especially because if you're playing at Idrissa Gueye, he's going to sit in front of the back 4. So it's not like, if I go and then he go. For instance, if he plays alongside Onana, you could understand why, because he's probably thinking, well, if I could go and he hasn't really got the discipline and he could end up going and then we're going to get caught. Yeah. But when you play with Idrissa Gueye, he's going to sit in front of the back 4. So, right. But I think you've got to judge him when we have more plays. But I think it's going to be interesting in the midfield. I mean, we might get onto this, but Tim Irabuma is probably going to have to come into the Moyes thinking, isn't he? Because he's one player who we haven't seen be given opportunity so far. Obviously, we talk about a lot of players who have been given opportunities.
He has been given a little bit of an opportunity, and I'll be honest, he's very young and still very early days, but I can't remember what game it was now, but he didn't play well in one of the games that he started. What was it?
I thought, to be honest, I thought the City game was he come off the bench, didn't he?
No, because I missed that game. He started the game.
Was it United, was it?
No, he come on, didn't he, against United?
Someone in the comments let us know what game he started, because he definitely started.
But again, you talk. Was he started 4 or 5 Premier League matches in his entire career? Yeah, I think we need to understand he's only young, this kid, and very, very inexperienced in the Premier League. And when you look to the likes of James Garner, who's massively experienced in the Premier League now, I think there'll be games now, and I think I alluded to it a couple of weeks ago. We're going to see little obscure substitutions, like I think Iliman Ndiaye come up for half time, didn't he? The weekend, and Alcaraz come on. I bet you, that's a strange substitution. Well, no, because we need to see Alcaraz. We've seen Ndiaye. I personally think he's been rushed back. Ndiaye just doesn't seem to be the same player. But we need to see Alcaraz for 46 minutes. We need to see what he's about.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to see Alcaraz and Ndiaye in the same team, to be honest, because I don't think David Moyes can house them two players playing for Everton because they don't press as much as what he used to. For all Decore's flaws, which, what has he played, 31 games for Everton this season, 3 goals, 1 assist, is poor. Absolutely poor if you're having a number 10. But for all his flaws, he probably presses better than anyone else, and that's why David Moyes has him in the team. I don't think Alcaraz does that, and I don't think Iliman Ndiaye
I think the big thing is, from all this is, and it's a testament to David Moyes, isn't it, is that he's got Everton into a position and a situation where he can be flexible with team selections. He's
earned the right.
He's earned the right to basically go, you know what, we're gonna make a change at half time today. We're gonna put Alcaraz on, see what he can do. You know, if we get to the game on Saturday and the team news drops and Irabuma's in alongside James Garner, you know, Patterson's at right back again, Alcaraz might start, and all of a sudden people are like, whoa, you can go, hang on, he's looking he's looking at what he wants to see for next season. You know, Irabuma being in his thinking or not being in his thinking could be the difference between Everton signing 2 midfielders and signing 1 midfielder. You know, but the big thing with all this is Moyes has give himself the right to do that because of what he achieved and what, you know, he continues to achieve. Because, you know, one thing we can all say about David Moyes, his greatest achievement is obviously keeping Everton up is the biggest, but he's allowed fans to enjoy the farewell Goodison, hasn't he? You know, everyone's going to go to that game on Saturday, and we all want to win, of course, you know, but there's no pressure. No one's going there going, oh my God, we need to beat these, you know, we need to get a positive point and hope that so-and-so beats so-and-so, and, you know, Everton are going there with, you know, safety secured, and he can be flexible as he wants, but I think he needs to see what is on offer, because, like I say, you know, Irabuma is a prime example of, if he's good and Moyes thinks, actually, I can get something out of him, I've got something in mind, that could be the difference between Everton signing 2 midfielders and 1 midfielder, because that's the position that we're in, aren't we? Because we're going to need bodies, because the sheer level of players who are going to lead the football club in the summer, we're going to need bodies, and that's why I think people shouldn't be too disheartened by links with people like Sean Longstaff and Thomas Souček, because we're going to need a bit of experience just to get the next few years and get through a period of transition. And
you know what, more importantly as well, it's so easy to forget, it's probably perfect opportunity to play the likes of Irabuna. There's no pressure on these games, as you've just rightly said. We're at home, and we're playing against the 3rd worst team in the league. So it's the perfect blend to actually play a young player. Go, do you know what? There's no pressure on you. You've got the home crowd behind you, and we're playing against a team that are not really good. You can go and dominate it.
And ultimately, David Moyes probably looked at that and think, well, if this lad can't do it against Ipswich at home, then what chance have I got when you know we're playing Man United, we're playing Man City? You know, it gives them that little bit of a, you know, experience and insight into what needs doing.
Insight into both your team selections there then, which we'll discuss before we finish. Irabuma played poorly against Arsenal. That was the game. But obviously, again, he's very young. Probably his first start in a while, and let's face it, he's come up against a very good team. We weren't very good against Arsenal. I just remember it stuck out that he was poor, but it's not. I'm not being overly critical on him. Just very quickly on Garner, is he not stifled by, like what Connor said, players around him, like the likes of Decore in front of him, who just can't get on the ball and do anything. The likes of Harrison, you know, who can't really get down the wing and beat a man and when he puts a cross in, it's poor. If he was continuing to play this holding or deep lying midfield role, and he was just like the water carrier as a phrase or whatever you want to call it, and we had players who were able to create chances, create assists, score goals. Do you think you'd look at him a little bit more favourably?
I see the two sides to it, but I'm like, I want to see him a little 10 yards forwards of the pitch. He's playing alongside a midfielder.
From manager, though, isn't it?
Maybe it is, but then take it upon yourself. You don't have to listen to manager's instructions 95 minutes of the game. Do you know what I mean? Go, do you know what? I'll go a couple of yards forward. I'm playing alongside a player that's made more interceptions than any other player in the Premier League this season. So there's no need. I know my back's covered here. If I go up 5 or 6 yards, stay a little bit on the front foot. And I look at all the midfielders playing in the Premier League. Look at Adam Wharton, for example. Now the lad who's playing for Crystal Palace. Now, obviously Palace are flying at the moment and he's got Mateta in front of him. But in terms of like, I know he's got Eze in that, but he still wants to get on the ball and be on the front foot and try and get his team up the pitch. I don't see that in James Garner. I see him doing more things off the ball than when he's on it. I'm not asking him to play killer ball through to Betto, because I know that we all know as a three here, we know the quality Everton have got up front is nowhere near good enough. But at least when you get it, make a drive and run, get your team up the pitch. And that's what the best midfielders do. Even in the worst of sides in the Premier League, they still try and get the team up the pitch at least. And I don't see it from James Garner at all. And I was hoping to see a little bit more from him with Mangala's injury. I've yet to see it, been disappointed.
Before we move on, just 2 questions. This segment of the podcast was meant to last like 5 minutes and we've done 30 minutes. Paul Williams says, I think Beto's touch was okay. He was caught in possession with nowhere to go. Although he needed to retain it, it's not his strength. Not much we can do with the squad. We have maybe Alcaraz as number 10 alongside Betto. Just to go along with that, and you can jump in afterwards. The Blues have says, Betto might be terrible on the ball, but he's still our best goal scorer and it's not even close. Would you agree with that?
No.
No?
Are we talking about the best goal scorer at the club?
Yeah.
Forward? No, that's not true.
No chance.
That's not true.
Unfortunately,
our best forward goal scorer at the club's out of contract in a couple of months.
Yeah.
I knew you'd both say that. That's
I
why
agree.
I
agree. But what is Calvert-Lewin, when he had Luka Dean, James Rodriguez, Richarlison alongside him, got 16, 18 goals in a season. What's Betto got? 4 or 5 this season. And he can't argue he hasn't been given a run on the side as well. So I don't
Calvert-Lewin also was better holding the ball up. Far better.
Oh, yeah.
More rounded player.
He's a more clever footballer, knows the game.
So are you saying you'd rather have a player who would be able to hold the ball up in a sense of doing a Sean Dyche tactics type job?
But that's what you've got to do though, isn't it? Away from home at Chelsea, whoever plays up front's got to be able to hold the ball up. Because that's the job.
Have we not looked more attacking with Betto on the pitch in the way we've played?
At home, when you can play it down the channels at home. But when you're going to Chelsea and Liverpool away and all these teams, you go, hold the ball up, let us get 5 yards up the pitch. Let's alleviate the pressure from the defence constantly, because that's what, Everton are a possession-based side, so we haven't got the ball for large parts of the game. So when it goes to the centre forward, keep hold of it so we can get 5 yards up the pitch. So when it does go to Betto, he's giving it straight back. So you're camped and you're off, you can't get out. So that's why when we're at home, you can put it in the channels and run onto it and try and get us a free kick up the pitch.
The Blues have hit back with some stats and facts, apparently. Goals per 90 says you're factually wrong, lads. It's not even a matter of opinion, it's fact. This is over Calvert-Lewin and Betto.
Usually Betto score goals against the worst Leicester side we've seen in years.
Okay, let me try and rephrase it then. Because we know it's going to be a tough summer and it's going to be difficult to find this striker that we're all craving who's going to score 20 odd plus goals a season. What you're basically saying there to me...
forward he should be moving heaven and earth for.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that. What you're saying there, Betto's... The tactics that we set up when Betto plays, you said works from home. So is there a place in the side for him next season?
No, nowhere near it. Betto shouldn't be anywhere near that squad next season. Nowhere near it. He's not the levels. He's nowhere near at the levels what you're looking for. Again, I'll make a reference to it. Does Betto get in any of the squads? You said it works from home at home in home games, though? Because that's where we are at the moment. We haven't got the quality. So at home, there's an argument to say he could be a squad player at home to run about or whatever. But you need more than runabouts. Does Betto get in any other Premier League side? He doesn't. He simply doesn't.
Does Dominic Calvert-Lewin though, like in terms of...
Yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin gets in majority of the sides. And we'll see in the summer.
If he goes to Newcastle, he's going to play second fiddle there, isn't he?
and then he'll be involved in possibly Champions League football, cup runs, a well better side than Everton currently have at the moment. So there's a lot of players that'll play. Could go to Arsenal, sit on their bench and play second fiddle to a Havertz or someone.
Eltel on the banks of the Royal Blue Mersey said there is a player in Betto, 1,000,000%.
But what's his strength? What's his strength?
I agree with that.
Can I ask you what his
I
strength
think he looks dangerous when we're playing on the shoulder of the last defender. When it's balls from deep, in and behind the defence.
So the defender then now, they're cutting on to Betto going, right, I'll just stand in front of you.
Well, obviously, yeah, there's ways of...
So what happens against Chelsea? What happens against Chelsea is that as soon as you get the ball, smother him.
That wasn't a ball played... That was a ball played into his feet, though, wasn't it? That's not what we're talking about.
So if you're a centre forward and you can't hold the ball up, you've got a big problem. A big problem, because that's the main basics of your job. Every centre forward, there's Delap there for Ipswich. He can do that. Young lads, straight out of Man City's academy.
I just think we've moaned and whined about how we played under Sean Dyche and how Sean Dyche thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin was the perfect player to play in his system because he can head the ball and he can hold the ball up. And now we've got a striker who's most definitely rough around the edges. To say that he's not Premier League quality, I just think I don't agree with that. I think, is he top Premier League quality? No, he's not. He wouldn't get in any of the top, 6, 7, 8 teams. He would.
Does he get in any of the bottom half? Apart from Mars at the moment.
Get
in Palace? No. Mateta? Nowhere near the levels. Brentford and Bueno, Wissa. We're going down the list.
Well,
I'm
not talking about
Man United.
He would get in as a second fiddle. I'm not saying that he should play. He would play as number one striker for those teams.
I don't even think he gets in their squads. I really do.
I think he probably, unless they get a good offer, I think he will stay this summer. I think he will become part of the squad. I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think he he's got experience, hasn't he now? So you could argue and say, well, he should be better for that experience. My big problem with Betto is if you're going to become a squad player, I think it's hard, because I don't think he's very good off the bench.
But he is a squad player now.
But I think he's the type of player who has to start games and gets into them that way. I think whenever he comes off the bench, he's not great at impacting matches, and I think he often just finds himself running around like for City, for instance, he came off the bench, didn't he? And just ran around like a headless chicken. Got caught offside numerous times.
Fouls.
Couldn't really get up to speed with the play. And okay, City are a great team who keep the ball really well, but I think that's happened a couple of times where he's come off the bench, and that's my worry, is that if we are going to keep him as a squad player, it's great, but I think he's got to improve his ability to come off the bench and impact games.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I was going to talk about Dan Purdy, head of recruitment, said to leave the club. We will still speak about that, but I just want to jump a segment and speak about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Seeing as we're talking about the strikers, he was on the agenda. So he's obviously been out since January, suffered a serious injury at Brighton and Hove Albion. He's now fighting for a return at the end of the season. He is back in training, and he obviously could be in with a shout to play before the end of the season. We know Newcastle are interested in him, and that he is out of contract. And there is a suggestion that talks between the player and club are expected to take place over the coming weeks. I've already asked this question, but I'm just going to ask it. So, confirmation, is he Everton's best forward at the club?
He's best striker at the club, without doubt. He ticks a lot of boxes, what you're looking for. Over the last 18 months, he's had to endure Sean Dyche type football, where he's been told, don't run in behind, I want the ball going to you, I want you to hold it up, win free kicks. That's the style of football that we've watched over the past 18 months. When he had Carlo Ancelotti and all these other players, you're getting running behind, and that's what Calvert-Lewin can do. We haven't seen the pace of Calvert-Lewin, obviously due to his injury records, but he's been pushed into a role that he probably... I think I remember watching Everton against Ipswich this season, funny enough, at Portman Road, where you could quite clearly see his body language is like, what are you doing, just humping this ball up to me and expecting... He weren't asked to run the channels, he would just hold the ball, and he can do it. But it's not his style of... He likes to mix it up. He can run in behind. He can run the channels. He's got pace to burn when he's been asked to do. But he's not been utilised under the previous manager. And it'll be nice for David Moyes to try and get hold of him for these remaining couple of games. Going, well, okay then. I'm not going to be playing Sean Dyche football. I want you to run channels. I want you to... We'll play the ball. We'll get the ball in behind you. Let's see what you've got. I'm hoping that for the remaining couple of games, because he's 10 times the footballer Betto is.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? He's been very unlucky. Connor, Moyes came in. I think probably Calvert-Lewin played 2.5 games, because he got injured against Brighton. So his fitness is key, and that is the problem, isn't it? he's probably not going to be able to hit the ground running coming back now, because we're going to have to wrap him up in cotton wool again for the remainder of the games. But I guess it would be interesting if he does maybe start at least one game, how Moyes and Everton approach that game, whether it is the same approach that we would do for Betto, or whether it is just revert back to making sure that he's solid and hold the ball up.
Well, I think we saw a glimpse, didn't we, of what Moyes would have wanted to get out of Calvert-Lewin, the Tottenham game, because he was a vital pass out Everton were that day attacking, and he was superb. He scored a really good goal.
Easy, not easy, but in the sense of how Tottenham played into our hands a little bit.
But Calvert-Lewin still had a massive impact on the game, which is something that we hadn't seen for a long time before that. Should have scored, being honest, he should have had a hat-trick that time, for being super critical. But obviously got his goal, set Everton off on the way to getting the win. And that was where I kind of come away and thought, actually, you can see what Moyes is trying to do here with him. He wants him to be the focal point of the attack. And it was also quite interesting, wasn't it? Well, it would have been quite interesting, because the one question that we always talked about with David Moyes from Everton was, if only had a centre forward, if only had that centre forward to play off. For so long of his first tenure at the club, obviously, we had like your Kirby and Andy Johnson, people come and went, but it was always that thing of, if he had a focal point. And it looked like, we had that second time round, that was one of the positions where ready-made for him. He'd have a focal point. Obviously, we haven't seen that because he's been injured. But I think there was definitely signs there of what you could see what he was trying to do, and it's quite clear he wants to get people, wants to get the ball into him, working off him, get runners and running off him. And I think we'd probably see more of that again if he does get back fit. He does play between now and the end of the season. But obviously, David Moyes has a big call to make, doesn't he? Because does he put someone back in who might not be at the football club come June? Because obviously we don't know what's going to happen with his future, and the contract situation's still ongoing. So it's going to be an interesting one, I think, because if he does get back fit and he's available, it'd be interesting how Moyes uses him and what Moyes wants to do with him. Because if Moyes knows he's going, Moyes might think, well, with respect, you're not going to be here next year, so you're not really me thinking.
I think the European conversation happens as well. I think we can't be naive enough to think that David Moyes will have spoke to Calvert-Lewin and maybe his representatives as well as agents, said, what's your plans? If you're fit, let's see what you're about. Do you want to stay here? Is it worth me wasting my time with you? If you're speaking to Fulham, Arsenal, Newcastle, let's see where we are here. Let's just have an honest conversation.
Well, I think talks are going to take place according to what we're being told. I think...
Well, they already have, because they've got talks with the Decore.
Yeah.
Because they declined on the option to extend his deal. Because they could have kept Decore now, couldn't they? They could have, triggered an extension clause. So things are clearly happening behind the scenes.
There's just too many permutations at the moment with Calvert-Lewin. Would you offer him a new deal on improved terms to what we offered him previously? We're not privy to what that is.
I think I'd like to have him as a squad player next season.
Do you think he'd accept an extension of one more year? I think personally he'd probably just think, I need a fresh start. And Newcastle, if they're still interested, would probably be the ideal situation for him. Because he's not going to play much harder, is he, if he's stays?
That's the big thing in all this, I think, is what does he want to do? What does he want to do? Because does he look at it now and think, I need to go somewhere where I'm going to play every week. I need to be somewhere where I can be number 9. I'm going to be the leading marksman. And if we're being honest, his best solution there is Everton.
Yeah.
Because he will be number 9 and he will be the leading marksman, you suspect. Yeah. Or does he think, actually, I'm going to go somewhere where I might not get in, but I'm going to back myself to work my way in. And there are points in football where I get bigger and better nights than what I might get at Everton. A Newcastle where they could be in the Champions League next year. All that sort of stuff starts coming into play, because is he looking, I think, well, this is my last roll of the dice, because this is the last contract that I'm going to get, big contract, and probably the last chance I'm going to get to go to some of these clubs who are in that mix of bigger and better nights than what Everton can give me right now this minute.
But you know what? He'll probably go where it's paying him the most wages.
That's the thing, is it?
That's it. We're being naive, aren't we? He'll get a big signing on fee, whoever he signs on for. Whereas if he stays with Everton, he'll probably look at his wages and go, hang on, well, Everton have offered me, I'm just plucking numbers out the area. Say Everton are giving him 80 grand a week and go, well, Arsenal have offered me 120. It's a bit of a no-brainer here. And I could play lots of games for Arsenal. I'm not saying he's going to be a certain starter, but as you said, he could back himself to go, do you know, if I get a run in the side, start scoring goals at any level, you're going to be straight in the side. And there's not many strikers in the Premier League currently that playing week in, week out. There's Ollie Watkins there. He can't even get in the Aston Villa team at the moment. There's not many strikers at the moment. Go, he's a certain
And that's
starter.
the thing with Calvert-Lewin. Does he still have a hope and ambition to get an England squad?
World Cup next
The
year,
World
isn't
Cup
he?
next year.
You'd probably
because
say,
if he does, again, you're probably thinking better stay at Everton because you're going to play every week. So if you start scoring goals every week, you're going to give Thomas Tuchel a decision
But
to
it
make.
won't be highlighted. If he scores goals at Everton, it's not highlighted. But if he, I don't know, say for argument's sake, he signs for Arsenal as a second string striker, and he, I don't know, Jesus gets an injury or Havertz gets an, whoever it is, and next minute he starts scoring goals, all of a sudden it gets highlighted more playing for Arsenal or in Newcastle than it would be playing for Everton. And
with his injury record as well, I mean, obviously I'm not saying that this is the case, but he might think that if I play second fiddle to a main striker like at Arsenal or a Newcastle, that might suit him better from a fitness point of view because he would be on the bench most of the time anyway. In those games that he is injured, it wouldn't be more noticeable because it's not like that team's relying on him to come in and be the main striker. So in his head, he might think, pay rise, signing on fee, big nights. Obviously, I might come off on the bench. I might be able to score a last minute winner as a substitute or something like that. I just think fresh start's probably what is best for him.
probably right indeed.
Okay, let's just talk about what was written in The Athletic by Paddy Boyland the past week. Everton's head of recruitment, Dan Purdy, is set to leave the club. Purdy had initially been earmarked for a new role of head of player identification as part of a revamped recruitment structure put together by incoming CEO Angus Kinnear. However, he is set to become the latest high-profile figure to leave the club. Purdy was the former manager of scouting and operations for director of football Marcel Brands and left Everton in December 2021. He did return into his old role when Kevin Thelwell replaced Brands in March 2022, and then he was promoted to head of recruitment at the start of the following season. Another, I guess, there's no official announcement from the club, so this is just reports from The Athletic, but another high-profile, bit of personnel leaving the club if it is to be the case.
Yeah, it's needed, isn't it? Well, I think you speak to lots of Evertonians and they're quite, I wouldn't say angry with the recruitment, but we're disappointed. And listen, we know our resources probably more than anyone in terms of the limitations and the finances that Kevin Thelwell and his backroom staff have all been under over the past couple of years, and we fully understand and respect that. But at the same breath, you're still wanting to see a little bit better than the players that what we've seen in an Everton shirt. We've just been speaking about when James Garner gets the ball and who's up front and who's alongside him, and it's nowhere near the levels. And it's only testament to how well David Moyes has done in the previous couple of months to have accumulated the points and wins on the board, considering the lack of quality this squad has. And it's got to lack of quality because the recruitment has been poor, and it's not been poor for 2-3 years, been poor for 5, he's been poor for 7 years. I can count on one hand how many signings we've made where you go, right, he's a game changer, we'll double our money on him. There's not many. Let's say Iliman Ndiaye would probably make a profit on the team at the moment. Jared Brantwaite, and that is probably it. That jumps straight to my mind. And I look at Everton squad and I go, do you know what, there's not many players that get in the top 6. I think Iliman Ndiaye gets in it on form. Jared Brantwaite gets in on it. Tarkowski, maybe, Pickford, and that's out of a 25-man squad. And I fully understand the financial strains the team have been under, but you just can't keep on signing bad players after bad players, loan players after loan players who just have been nowhere near the levels of what we should be getting to and a Premier League football club as well. It's been really, really poor.
If we just make a case for defence, so according to Paddy Boylan's article, Purdy was an influential figure behind the scenes at Everton in recent years. So this is a paragraph from his article. He also played a key role in the additions of Amadou Onana, James Garner, and last summer, Iliman Ndiaye. He also tracked the winter edition of Carlos Alcaraz alongside Kevin Thelwell. It's
difficult to say who's vouching for who.
Yeah.
So Kevin Thelwell go, well, I wanted Iliman, he was my name. Do you know what I mean? So you can't say like one bad. You've got to take it the brunt as from a team perspective. So Kevin Thelwell, Dan Pitt, all your recruitment team, you take your hits and you take your misses, and it's been 10 times more misses than hits. So you can't just say like, oh well, we signed Iliman Ndiaye. Well, what about the 25 others that haven't been good enough? What about the loan system we haven't used well for the previous 5 or 6 years. We chased John Juma for 2 or 3 seasons, and he was poor.
Barely played.
Exactly. Lindstrom, Harrison, Bangwala. These people, what's a testament to how poor the loan market's being used over the past 3 or 4 years, that every one of them have gone back. There's been not one loan you go, I want to keep him.
Yeah.
Every one of them being poor. And you're paying for loans, by the way. You're paying loans. I think the Jack Harrison one's not, they haven't paid a fee for that. He's on big wages. But the rest of them, you're paying loan fees for them. So it's not as if like you're getting these players for nothing, you're just paying them. You're paying loan fees for them. They have been nowhere near the levels, but there's been some good ones in there. But I'd say 90% of the recruitment signings that we've made in the past 5 years have been misses, in my opinion.
What phrase did you use before we came onto the pod about this situation?
Out with the old and with the new.
Yeah.
I think it's the overhaul, isn't it? That I think a lot of people expected once, the Fredkin group took charge. Obviously, then Kevin Thelwell leaving. Obviously, there's a new CEO coming in. There's obviously new people coming in terms of the sporting side of things. Obviously, David Moyes is coming in. By all accounts, he's going to have a bit of a big say in transfers and recruitment. So this was, I think, to be expected, wasn't it? I think, obviously, things naturally changed, don't they, when new managers are coming in and, a lot of moving parts. I agree with Toe. I think, obviously, there's been a lot of misses, hasn't there, with Everton's recruitment. But I think the problem with Everton is it'll always be tough to judge recruitment because there's always going to be that caveat, isn't there, of the restrictions and the restraints that we were working under. And, Kevin Thelwell himself has probably done a good, solid job in challenging circumstances. Having to sell a player every summer is never easy. Obviously, Everton had to sell Richarlison. Obviously, then they sold Gordon. And Garner was last summer. Then you look at, the other side of it, bringing in players in, not being able to pay for them and stuff like that. Largely leads you having to recruit from a smaller pool of players. So, yeah, I think, there's always going to be that caveat with Everton's recruitment. And, it's no surprise that you see someone like Morgan Gibbs-White who's done quite well at Forest. He was someone who Kevin Thelwell was interested in bringing to Everton quite early on in his tenure. Obviously, they didn't have the finance to structure a deal. So there's stuff like that, isn't there, I think, which will come out in the wash about, the restraints and what Thelwell was working under. And I just think it's time for a freshen up, isn't it? New people have come in, new voices, new ideas, and let's see where that takes Everton.
I look at it, sorry,
no, go on.
At the same time, and I totally understand, and I expect when Kevin Thelwell was there, and it must have been tough. Obviously, you're trying to balance books, you're getting players out and whatnot, and then you go into clubs going, well, we can't offer you money till next. And I get all that, I totally respect that, but then I look at the 3 years that he was there, and you look at the players that I won't say we could have got, but at that time, in the main, we're still going to have to pay 20 odd million for Betto over the 3-year, 4-year contract that he's on. We'll still be paying for Chimiti. You still be paying for these players. Still have to pay a loan fee for Lindstrom. Still have to pay a loan fee for Mangala. Still bought all these players that haven't been nowhere near the levels that we expect. And I look at the same time, Crystal Palace have got Mateta at the moment. They got him for a 3 million loan fee for 18 months, and then bought him with an obligation to buy for 10. So we're not asking for us to spend money that we haven't got anymore. Aston Villa signed John Duran for 10 million from Columbus Crew. Sold them for 90. There's bargains out there if you get your recruitment team right. So I understand the financial pressure Everton were under at the time in going to these teams. Neil Maupay, 13 million. What possesses you? The list is endless. Honestly, there's more misses than hits. And when you're seeing examples, and if someone says to me, oh, Isak cost 64 million, I get that. We're not in the Isak League. We're not in the league for the Champions League strikers. But can we get in the league for your Matesas of the world and your John Durans and these players out there that you can go and find gems out there that David Moyes was very, very good at? They signed Jared Bowen from Hull for 10
the biggest one is why they never went for Adam Wharton, isn't it?
Oh.
Someone playing up the road at Blackburn, clearly an outstanding talent. I mean, I actually know someone who covers Blackburn a fair bit. And I remember speaking to him when Wharton had agreed to go to Palace. And he said, the biggest shock for him was that he was going to Palace. He said, I can't believe he's only going to Palace, was his words, because he basically believed he was that good. He was going to become that good that none of the other big clubs in the area, let's face it, in the area, in the Northwest, had made a move for him. And he feels like one that got away because, and there's probably a couple of others, should they took gambles on maybe one or two others, which I think, again, we see that now, don't we, reflected in the players Everton are linked with, Chris Rigg at Sunderland, Tom Fallows at West Brom, Championship talent that we all know David Moyes has been very good at bringing in. No surprise to see them linked, is it now? And, you know, perhaps now's the time to make up for their missed opportunities.
Well, we're running out of time, but I do want to quickly discuss this because we've got a piece going up online first thing tomorrow morning and it's dedicated to this topic. So that'll be out Thursday, the 1st of May. Yeah, May tomorrow.
Hey, already.
So Matt Jones and Chris Beasley have given their opinions on whether Richarlison should or shouldn't return to Goodison Park, Bramley-Moore, whatever stadium you want it. We've got 2, doesn't matter.
Finch Farm.
Yeah, so that article's going up tomorrow. So I just thought I'd run it past the lads. There's a lot of debate online about whether Everton should make a move, whether Everton should consider a return for Richarlison. Obviously, a player loved by many fans at Goodison Park. Did you enjoy, or how did you rate his Everton career? Well, you know, obviously, first time round.
I liked him. I liked him as a player. I liked him as a person as well. He put his body on the line. He's got quality. His goal scoring record's a bit patchy. Let's not hide away from that. It weren't the best considering the position he was in. He was playing every week, which what you'd want. It's probably the repercussions of why he's been so poor at Spurs, because he's been constantly injured. I think Everton kind of got the best out of him at that time, especially when he was getting injections and everything for the Crystal Palace game. You see, his body was just on the floor at the time. So, yeah, I think we got the best out of him. I think just best to leave it there at the past. I think he looks a little bit done at Tottenham, and I wouldn't be going back for him, especially as a permanent transfer. If there's a loan market there and there's an option for a loan, I'd say, okay, we'll take you 12 months on loan. But I wouldn't be paying for him. I think Everton have got the better deal out of that. We sell him for like 50 million at the time, so I think Everton got the best deal there. We want a player. We got probably Delap's perfect for us. The Liam Delap at Ipswich. Someone like that who can hold the ball up, run channels, scores goals. He's just the perfect centre forward that probably suits the way Everton play. I don't think Richarlison's there. I think we've probably got the best out of him. I wouldn't be going back permanently, but on loan, squad play, which we're going to speak about, squad plays, we're going to be heavily linked with over the next couple of weeks. I think there's going to be a lot of Everton going, I thought we've got money to spend. I wouldn't be signing suits yet. Well, we need to beef up the squad because 14 players leave the football club in July. So it's a surprise. You're going to need at least to keep some of them and bring some in. So, yeah, I'd bring him in as a squad player on loan for me.
I mean, he's still a player that divides opinion from Everton fans. A lot of Everton fans love him. Some Everton fans, you know, can be very frustrated by some of his antics on the pitch. You know, he would go down and you think you're not really injured. You know, get up and get on with it. But you know, he was a leader as such on the pitch. Maybe whether not vocal, but certainly in his playing style. And he scored a number of important goals for us. Tony's just touched upon it there. Probably didn't score enough, but you know, he probably wasn't playing in the best Everton team at the time, was he? So where do you stand on it?
Leave it in the past.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring... I actually put a tweet out about this. I think it was January. I think Liverpool played Tottenham and I was watching it at home. And he was talk then, actually. It was January. Yeah, it was January. Because it was January and he was talk then about him coming on loan for the rest of the season. Which I don't think Everton could have legally done bad because I think they used all on loan spots up, so I don't know how they're going to get around that one. But anyway, there was talk and I just remember watching him thinking, he looks a little bit finished. He looks like he's lost that bit of pace he had. Like Toe said there, he's always injured, isn't he? You know, and his body seems to be breaking down a little bit. You know, he's had muscle injuries and I just think leave it in the past. I think I don't think he can ever forget what he'd done. And he was the cult hero, wasn't he, of that? Yeah. You know, that year we stayed up and we beat Palace on the final day. He was the cult hero of the survival, wasn't he? And you know, I think tomorrow is the anniversary of the Chelsea goal when he famously threw the flare out the ground, and you know that kind of set us on the path to stay up. And obviously, he got the goal against Crystal Palace. But yeah, I wouldn't be bringing him back to the football club this year. I think we need to move on, and I think we need to look elsewhere. I can see why people do want to bring him back because I think there's the nostalgia there, and there's the, you know,
we need to get away from that though, don't we?
Yeah.
Think about it. You need young lads and you need pace.
Yeah.
And Richarlison doesn't fit that bill, does he?
It's a rarity, or it has been a rarity over the past couple of years where Everton seems to have got the better end of a deal where we've sold for.
So Toll's right what he said. Like we got the better part of that deal.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't done nothing, has he, Tottenham? I don't mean that as a dig towards him, but I can't think of anything that he's done that has been substantial. Where you think, it's just. I mean, the only thing he's done is score against Everton, isn't it? I think he scored a couple of times, hasn't he? Like, I think it's the only thing he's.
We need young lads in that Everton team, and we need pace in the Everton team. And Richarlison sadly doesn't tick any of them boxes.
2 new strikers as well.
100%. I agree.
I agree with Tom. When I said earlier, there's a forward Everton should move heaven and earth for, and it is Liam Delap. I just think for us, I think it'll be too late this summer. So I think there'll be a couple of European clubs in the hunt for him because of how cheap he's going to be. Because he's 30 million now, isn't it? They've officially been relegated.
It's always going to have a breakdown, I think, if we don't get him.
I just think there'll be a couple of bigger clubs in terms of where they are on the table who'll go after him. But yeah, I think even like Chris Rigg and Tom Fallows, they're young lads, aren't they? Who've got pace, and you can see why they're being linked. But I do think people need to not rein in their hopes and ambitions a little bit when it comes to recruitment, but don't be too disheartened if some of the players who do come through the door aren't the players who you imagined or hoped we were bringing in. Like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if we see people like Thomas Soucek and Sean Longstaff and one or two others of that nature who are Premier League experienced players coming in, because So says we need to beef up the squad, and I think they're just good, hard working lads who I think David Moyes will think he'll be able to get a lot out of. So I think people will be right to be excited about this summer, because we obviously need to bring players in, and you do hope that you get one or two in who'll raise eyebrows and people think, oh, that's a good sign. But obviously people need to be a little bit acceptant that there's probably going to be one or two who come in who are not going to be the most flamboyant names on paper, but they could serve a very big purpose of why they're being brought to the football club.
I totally agree. I think someone said to me the other day, they said, would you take Soucek? I said, what, a goal scoring midfielder you say no to? Who have we got in the midfield that scores goals at the moment? No brainer. Squad player, get him in.
I think as well.
Corey scored the other week.
He scored 3 in 30. And that's just what I mean. I don't remember the time he scored that win against Nottingham Forest. Everyone's going, oh, give him a contract. I went, well, he scored 3 goals in 30 games in a number 10 role. Let's understand that for a kick-off.
Okay, we're going to do a full preview of Ipswich on Friday, but I don't know whether Tony or Connor will be on that pod, so I'll ask for your starting lineups and predictions. I guess there's not, injury-wise, we know who's probably going to be out injured, so hopefully the squad, there's not many surprises.
I think the biggest interesting thing will be who plays at right back.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting, but I think who plays at number 10, I think Alcaraz has got to come in.
Well, the right back thing is I don't like sentiment in football.
He's going for Garner at right back.
No. I don't like sentiment in football. I don't like sentiment. But do you save Seamus Coleman for the Southampton game? Because I actually do. I think they'd be concerned that if you put him playing Saturday, does he get injured?
Was he on the bench for Chelsea?
Yeah, he's been on the bench the last couple of weeks, hasn't he? But I love Seamus Coleman. This is nowhere near a dig at him, but it's clear his body is almost saying enough's enough now, isn't it? Because he think to captain the team on the final day against Southampton.
Oh, you'll get me going here, Connor. But
you gamble and play him Saturday.
Can you not play him from now till the summer?
This is what I'm saying. This is the thing. This is what I'm saying. But on the flip side of that, I also think it's very interesting in terms of what they do with Ashley Young and Nathan Patterson. Because if Ashley Young gets the nod over Nathan Patterson,
that's Patterson done.
Yeah, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Because that's almost like Moyes played it for an hour last week and has thought, oh, actually, that's an area for concern and we need to tighten that up. So I think right back will be a really... And look, it's right back, so it's not one that gets the imagination, but that's where I am intrigued to see what he does on Saturday, because there's so many different things he could do. But obviously the Coleman one is obviously a sentiment, decision. But I certainly definitely think Patterson or Young will be really interesting. Because if Moyes picks Young over Patterson, I think that speaks volumes for what he thought last week. Because he played him for an hour, brought him off, put Young on. If Young starts over him...
Yeah, I agree, because I think Patterson played against Arsenal, if I remember rightly.
He did, yeah.
Played 70 minutes against Arsenal.
I thought he did okay against
Arsenal.
We've
not seen anywhere near the team since, and then put in against Chelsea, and then was dragged off after 60 minutes.
Nearly give a goal
away with a back pass.
It was an enforced change, though, wasn't it, the Chelsea one? Obviously, he wouldn't have played if Tarkowski wasn't injured.
No, but now it's him or Young, isn't it, on Saturday? And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if Moyes goes with Young, is it almost like he's saying, well, I've seen enough of Nathan Patterson already, thanks
And that's
very much.
considering our current right back is not in the team. He's playing centre half.
Yeah.
So that says a lot.
Who's your 11 then?
I'd like to see Rubenham start. I'd like to see Seamus start.
Over who?
Garner.
Yeah.
James Garner. I'll play Guy and Rubenham. I'll say to Rubenham, come on, there's your licence. Get up and down the pitch. Let's see what you've got. If you're ever going to play Alcaraz and NDI in the same team together, this is your perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
We can't do it against Fulham away. Certainly can't do it against Newcastle away. Potentially do it against Southampton. And that's it, isn't it? The season's over. So, nice opportunity. Alcaraz maybe in a 10. Illiman's the eye on the left. I'd like to see Dwight McNeil start. That our attacking minded would that be? I'm not sure David Moyes will go with that, personally. I think he'd like to see a little bit of stability, maybe Corey or Harrison in there. But how good would that be? Eye on one wing, Dwight McNeil on the other, Alcaraz in a 10. And obviously, we just talked about the centre forward position. Yeah. I'd like to see Chimiti have a run out for the next 4 or 5 games. Go, do you know what? Let's see what you're about. Because we've seen enough of Betto, haven't we? Let's see if you can hold the ball up well. I've seen enough of 5
Don't forget, though, Chimiti was left out the squad for, was this Man City, wasn't it? For tactical reason, Moyes didn't put him in. So he's the one who there's probably question marks over. But I think, I agree with Ty, I wouldn't be too disheartened if Rubenham starts over Garner, just to see what he can do, what he can offer. I think this is the game where you want to see Alcaraz and McNeil plays as a kind of front three. And look, I think whoever plays up front, it's much for muchness, isn't it? Maybe you might go Brozier again to have another look at Brozier, just to firm up what he thinks. Because obviously, the thing with Brozier is it's obviously he started in 2 tough games, hasn't he? He was Forest away and City at home. So you can say he's probably been a bit hard done to there in terms of they're 2 tough teams to go up against. Saturday is not so much that in Ipswich, so maybe he comes into the thinking in that way. But for me, I am intrigued to see what he does at right back.
I mean, also on a side note, Delap against Brantwaite. Be interesting to see that.
Predictions then?
2-0 Everton.
3-1 Everton.
Yeah, I was going to go 3-1. Just took the words right out of my mouth. So.
Looking forward to seeing Goodison in the sun on Saturday.
Okay, any final thoughts before we shoot off? All good?
No, I think we're all looking forward to Saturday, aren't we?
Absolutely. Okay, that is all for today's show. Please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop us some 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I've been Ian Croll, joined by Connor O'Neill and Tony Scott, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.